Guys, hypers, if you've heard people say there is a problem in the online left with unironic anti-white racism. Hypers, if you've heard that argument. Not that you believe it, but that you've heard it. Every one of you should be hypersing right now because you've all heard that argument. You're all lefties. You've all heard this argument before. Right-wingers accuse the left of this all the time. You've all heard the argument, and if you aren't hypersing, then you're lying because we've all heard it. I always call bullshit on this. While I do think that the left is probably way more okay, is definitely way more okay with racist humor at the expense of white people than actual minority groups, I'd argue that's defensible when you consider the fact that, like, the reason why the left is not okay with racism and racist humor is because it has actual negative outcomes in the real world and causes real harm. White jokes don't actually seem to cause that harm in the real world in the same way that, like, jokes about black people or Asian people or Hispanic people or Slavic people might, right? Like, any group that's been discriminated against in the past, right? For immutable characteristics, right? Like, white people, just there's no... The immutable characteristic of being white is just not something you're going to be oppressed for. And so generally the left is okay with jokes at the expense of white people, but not for black people, for example, because black people do have systems that are specifically set to oppress them because of immutable characteristics, that being their race. Same goes for gay people, trans people. You guys know. You guys know what I'm talking about. I also love white people, kind of. Anyway, I always call bullshit on that. The argument that the left hates white people. I don't believe it. I don't have white guilt. I'm not guilty for being white. I'll admit sometimes when your boy has to catch up on the facts of American slavery before a debate or a video, I do, kind of think, fuck, we really did this. Shit. Like, that's something that happens, and I don't think that's white guilt. I don't think it's white guilt if you're white and you watch, like, a movie about slavery and you're like, fuck, we did do some fucked up shit, we white people. We did some fucked up shit in this country not that long ago. Ooh, we're still doing some fucked up shit. Like, I don't think that's white guilt. I don't think the left hates white people. But what I will say is, there are narratives that I see from people who claim to be on the left that are absolutely anti-white, but I would argue, through the merry-go-round of the discourse, through the bending of horseshoe theory, which is real, and this entire thing will prove that horseshoe theory is real, I find that every instance of unironic anti-white racism I see on the left tends to be far more right-wing and conservative than progressive. By far the most anti-white, left-leaning, in quotes, at least they claim to be, group I've discovered has been the Black Hammer organization. You guys might remember them from when they lied about buying a bunch of land out in the mountains of Colorado where they claimed they were going to build some Wakandan society or some bullshit like that. In reality, they got kicked off the land by the cops because they were just, they were actually, they didn't buy the land. They were lying about that. They were actually squatting on it. And the owner of the land had to call the police and have them escorted off of it. And as you can imagine, no violence occurred because they did not stand and fight to hold on to the land. As the white cop came to kick them off of the land that they stole from some random dude who owned that land, they did not fight back against it like they claimed they would to protect their land, their land. Aren't they a fake group? Poppyhead, if I could snap my fingers and make that true, if I could snap my fingers right now and make Black Hammer into a satire organization that doesn't really exist, I'd do it. But unfortunately, it's not true, and it does exist. And guess what? Guess what, guys? Black Hammer forms coalition with the Proud Boys. All your questions answered on blackhammer.org. That's right, guys. Ghazi Kodzo, a.k.a. Black Hitler, and the Black Separatist Gang are teaming up with Gavin McInnes, leader of neo-Nazi white supremacist organization The Proud Boys, to achieve their, as they say, common goal of segregation. I love this. This is, yeah, his nickname's Black Hitler, Uris McProll. Ghazi Kodzo has been around since, like, the anti-SJW days. The way I learned about Ghazi Kodzo was when the anti-SJWs would dunk on him. And I'm going to be honest, this is one of those cases where everyone from Sargon of Akkad to Andy Worski were completely correct in their criticism of this person. Ghazi Kodzo, or as they called him, Black Hitler, is absolutely an accurate depiction of him. If you guys want like a really good laugh, I recommend you go watch the video of Ghazi here, also here, dressed up in Joker makeup, ranting in front of a brick wall with a bunch of like... Black Hammer members lined up against it, and while he rants about how Anne Frank was a Karen a white Karen who deserved to be killed by the Nazis and wasn't a real Jew. Very, very good video. Highly recommend it if you want to literally incur suicidal depression. If you want like actual contagious suicidal depression, that video will do it for you. So go watch it if you want to have some suicidal ideation. Land back, hammers and supporters, as of Monday, December 13th. Hey, that's the anniversary of the Hightail trailer release. Goddamn. As of Monday, December 13th, the Black Hammer organization officially announced its coalition with the Proud Boys against Fauci's mandate and the left. BLM and Antifa goons immediately took to Twitter to decry our organization and our work, feeding the homeless from Atlanta to Chicago to Los Angeles to Nairobi to Kenya. Back in January, it was Black Hammer who declared war against Antifa terrorists who were burning down black and brown communities. Where have I heard that one before? Antifa terrorists burning down black community? Where have I heard black cities burning down because of Antifa? Where have I heard that talking point before? I didn't know Tim Pool was half Asian until he said he was. He passes for white. Absolutely. I didn't even know that until you just said it as well. But good for him. I'm sure that he probably does not give a fuck. I highly doubt that he identifies whatsoever with his Asian heritage. Commander-in-Chief Ghazi Kodzo, a.k.a. Black Hitler. I'm adding that bit in. They didn't add that there themselves. Yes, he is half Asian. Just like Jace from Arcane. Everything in real life is just like Arcane. I've got a friend who's super into Arcane, more so than I am. And, if you think I say blank is just like blank... once you meet this fucking guy, you're not even gonna know, okay? Because this motherfucker is obsessed with Arcane and says everything is like Arcane. I've been teasing him about it a little bit. It's all Arcane all the way down, true. First hinted at the coalition in an interview this past Thursday with Gavin McInnes. During the interview, Ghazi and Gavin reminisced how the Proud Boys, founded by Gavin, had originally found each other in the YouTube comments of Ghazi's videos. The two have since come full circle, uniting after nearly a decade in the wake of Black Hammer's protests in front of the CDC headquarters, speaking out against Big Pharma and the Democratic establishment who dances willfully at the end of their puppet strings. You can watch the full interview here. I imagine that's them bonding over their shared love of segregation. For too long, liberals and leftists have attacked the self-determination of poor and working-class colonized people. The straw that broke the camel's back and brought together Black Hammer and the white right was seeing how these supposedly progressive elites pushed a vaccine and a mandate that is killing thousands of people and has left many more starving and without livelihoods. So we take this as a good storm. Listen, Sean Head, I love you, but if you were any more woke, I feel like you would be standing these people. I'm sorry. If Sean Head was like a super woke BLM, like Antifa, like fist in the air, fuck, like if that's what she was into, all this like fuck the Democratic establishment, the poor whites and like populist white right-wingers need to get together with like poor working class black people to work together for segregation. I feel like she'd be standing the fuck out of this, but thankfully she's not super big on the whole like black segregation thing, so she's not. But like I will point out the massive amount of worry that I'm filled with by narratives like this. Way too many people on the left who are black and progressive and working class are reached by this narrative. This is, in my opinion, the alt-right rabbit hole for non-white people. This is the alt-right rabbit hole for like alt-white. This is the alt-right rabbit hole for woke, like progressive-minded, smart, young, like POC people that are not really fully grown into their politics, so they're easily swayed by an argument like the left, like the Democratic Party is your actual enemy, you need to ally with literal neo-Nazis to achieve an ethno-state where whites and blacks can live separately and we can pursue our own common goals. This is like unironically, this is literally, I'm saying it right now. This is the alt-right rabbit hole for young POC people. Young POC and LGBT people. This is how you get young POC LGBT people to be part of the alt-right. This is how you turn LGBT low-income black people from like Atlanta and Chicago into neo-Nazis. I literally straight out of a fucking Chappelle sketch, and we're in the real. This is real life. Literal Chappelle sketches in real life are happening. It's insane. Old Chappelle sketches, the Clayton Bigsby one, back when Dave Chappelle could make actual funny offensive humor. Actually, I'll amend that. Dave Chappelle is completely capable and still to this day makes fantastic racial humor. His commentary on race is great, okay? His jokes about it, even on the edgier ones, are great. He does not have the same talent when it comes to trans people because he doesn't know enough about trans people to have enough knowledge to make the jokes that he makes about like race. He just doesn't have enough knowledge to make the jokes like he can about race. He hasn't done the research into it. He doesn't even understand like anything about I think he unironically thinks the gay acceptance movement, the LGBT acceptance movement, is at odds with the the black liberation movement. He actually seems to believe that. At least from when I watched his stand up, the talking points he was bringing up is that being gay and trans is a way for white people to feel oppressed like black people are. That's what he said in his stand-up. That the LGBT acceptance movement are all a bunch of white people that want to feel as oppressed as black people. And guess what? You want to hear something funny? Despite many of these people being LGBT, Black Hammer thinks the exact same thing. So, yeah. Hey, if you guys want to see a really good video about reactionary ideology, especially homophobia and transphobia in the black community, why don't I go ahead and shout out a friend of the stream who unfortunately can't be here at the moment because he's debating a conservative right now in like some conservative Discord. I recommend my friend Apillo's video on racism in the black community. Okay, YouTube just not wanting to bring it up for me, even though I literally searched it like word for word. You good? Hey, oh, there we go. Someone did the exclamation point Apillo link thing. Okay, cool. There we go. Pog. As I said, highly recommend this video if you're curious to see like a black perspective on homophobia and anti-LGBT reactionary conservative ideology in the black community. It is a problem, and I don't know, maybe me as a white guy shouldn't be the one that goes in criticizing a very, very large part of the black community for their homophobia, though I will do it. I don't care. I will criticize the black community for being homophobic. I'll do it. It's not okay. It's not okay for black people to be bigoted. Black Hammer has advanced astronomically in the past year. We moved our headquarters to the majority colonized city of Atlanta, started really serving our poor and working class people through outreaches at bus and train stations across the world, took on Big Pharma through the March on the CDC. They are, of course, anti-vaxxers, yes, and started organizing our homeless siblings from Chicago to Nairobi. We painted these towns red, baby. The liberal left has no achievements of the sort. Wait, what? The liberal left has no achievements of the sort? Do you actually think that Black Hammer has achieved anything close to what the liberal left has achieved as far as like helping people goes? What politician has Black Hammer even gotten elected? Are there any politicians among Black Hammer that actually hold office anywhere in America? Like, no, there's not. While our people worldwide are struggling with the crisis of imperialism, integration. When these people say imperialism, they don't mean the imperialism that us lefties believe in, okay? These people think that integration is imperialism. These people think that, like, if you're a white person and you live next door to a black person, you're imperialist. That's what they believe imperialism is. They don't act like, when they say imperialism, they don't mean like white European colonists coming to Africa and like taking away ships full of slaves through the transatlantic slave trade to America and whatnot. That's not what they're referring to. They're not referring to the things that white European powers have done in regards to colonization to mostly non-white countries. That's not what they're referring to. They're thinking about the concept of integration. They think if white people and black people live together, that's colonialism. They think that's imperialism. They want black people to live separate from white people and white people to live separate from black people. That's why they're allying. That's why Black Hammer is allying with Gavin McInnes and the neo-Nazis. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And I've got very bad news for you. If you're a Black Hammer member watching right now and you agree with the white supremacist organization of the Proud Boys and you're all on board with the group allying with them and everything. Oh, also, I want to do a bit of a throwback as well. If you are a Black Hammer member or you are a supporter of Black Hammer and you're not aware of this, a bunch of members of Black Hammer, who I completely disagree with politically, have spoken out against the organization, including Ghazi Kodzo, because apparently Ghazi has a penchant for a lot of very abusive behavior. A huge instance of this was when Ghazi kicked out a black mother who was raising a black single mother who was raising a child from the one of the Hammer houses where they all live together, I guess. Kicked a single black mother out of the Hammer house because of like some petty political disagreement and sent her to be homeless. A bunch of members of Black Hammer came out and spoke out against Ghazi, basically Me Too'd him, but not sexually speaking. It was more of a, this is all the horrible shit Ghazi Kodzo has done to us behind the scenes. This is what they're truly like. Go watch that video. Look up Ghazi Kodzo Xanderhal, and it'll come up pretty quickly. The thumbnail and title should make it pretty obvious which video I'm referring to. Anyway, so it should go without saying these people are also tankies as well. And there's a reason why we call tankies red fash. I mean, as you can see, they're doing like the... Look, already, see that? I mean, like, look at them. They're tankies. Like, look. These people are tankies. Obviously, they're tankies, right? And here on the left, we call tankies red fascists. They are fascists who use the communist, socialist, or generally leftist, like pro-worker, anti-capital-owning ruler class narrative, aesthetic to push a reactionary ideology. It's also what, like, populists on the right do. Like, for example, Nazbuls, like, unfortunately, as I mentioned before, Seanhead seems to, in my opinion, is a little too friendly with. It's very, very easy to couch reactionary ideology in a seemingly progressive wrapping paper. Now, here's the question I have for anybody who is a member or supporter of Black Hammer. Do you actually think the Proud Boys' real end goal is for all the black people to live in Africa, all the white people to live in North America and Europe, all the Asian people to live in Asia, and all the South, like Latino people, Latinx people live in Mexico and south of that? Do you actually think that's what the Proud Boys want if they achieve their ideal world? Do you think that their ideal world is just, we got the wall here that separates like the whites from the Hispanics. We got the wall here that separates the whites and the blacks. We got the wall here that separates the blacks and the whites from the Asians. Like we that's all we wanted, guys. Like, do you think that's really what they want at the end of the day? If you are a POC supporter or member of Black Hammer, do you think your new allies, the Proud Boys, actually just want to be separate but equal? No. They're white supremacists. They're white supremacists. They want to kill you. White supremacists don't lynch black people in trees because they want segregation and they're mad there's not. They want to kill black people. Back when the whites owned black people as slaves, they killed black people by lynching them. And like, I mean, if you know anything about how horrible slavery is, you know what white slave owners did to black people. And that's back when white people had all the power and control, period. Because back then you couldn't be rich and wealthy and black like you can today. At least now you can physically be a rich, wealthy black person. You couldn't be that back then. And even back then, white people still killed and oppressed black people. Trust me. The Proud Boys do not want a separate but equal world of racial ethno-states. They will do exactly what Hitler did if they come to power. They will try to take over the fucking world and apply their racial and ethnic standards to the entire world. Do you think Hitler would have left all the black people to live completely on their own just fine in Africa? Or do you think he would have done exactly what Hitler did to black people in Germany into Africa if he was able to do that? Do you think he would have just left all that alone, or do you think he'd have done exactly what he did in Germany? You put the pieces together. These people are not your allies. If you work with these people and you actually achieve even half of the things that you're trying to achieve, then I have no doubt that within the next 10 years, you would literally be living under slavery if you achieved half the things that the Proud Boys and Black Hammer right now are striving and working together to achieve. If they were able to achieve 50% of those things, 10 years later, we'd have slavery back. That's the direction this country would have to go in politically and socially in order for 50% of the things that Black Hammer and the Proud Boys advocate for to happen. We would literally be living under segregation and soon slavery. That's how it would go. These people are not your ally. They will never be your ally. They are tricking you. Stop. Don't work with literal white supremacists. Hey, guys. Hey, you want to hear a funny story? Hey, do you guys want to hear a funny story? So Black Hammer here talks about how, they're going around and they're helping poor and impoverished people in cities like Atlanta. Do you know what group also did things like that, especially in the black community? Do you want to know what group allegedly did very similar things? The Ku Klux Klan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a conservative black YouTuber by the name of Brian Logan, I believe his name is. But he debated Destiny a long time, like a while. This is back before Destiny lost his mind, if I remember correctly. Debated Destiny, and he unironically made the argument, and I mean, this is his own personal story, so who am I to argue against its validity? He argued that when he was a kid, the KKK, dressed in hoods and all, would come give his grandma presents. That the KKK would come give his grandma and all the black kids in their neighborhood and in their area Christmas presents and birthday presents. And he full on defended the KKK in a debate with Destiny. Trump hat on, defending the KKK in a debate with Destiny. I really do wish more people realize that race really is just skin deep. ABL? Was it not Brian Logan? Why am I thinking Brian Logan? What name? Is that a person? Is that a person who exists? Anthony Brian Logan. I had it right. Well, look at that. I'm not racist after all. We did it, guys. I'm not racist after all. I can't. Thank you, chat. I love you all so much. We have so much fun here. We have a good time here, right? You guys have fun. Yeah, his name's Anthony Brian Logan, ABL. For some reason, I only remembered Brian Logan, but yeah, he was the black conservative donning the Trump hat who unironically argued that the KKK brought him and his grandma Christmas presents. I just want to make it very... I do wish more people realize that race literally is just skin deep. It really, really is. Race is so skin deep that, like, I feel like the existence of, like, white supremacist black people is, like, perfect evidence against the argument, like, against the concept of race being anything other than skin deep. It really, really is. When you run into just an organization that claims to be pro-black that's working with neo-Nazis, I mean, at that point, that's all the evidence you need, that there's nothing more to race than just your skin color and the way that you look. That literally is all it is. Because I've seen black people who hate black people just as much as the most racist white person. So there you go. Perfect argument against racism right there. The existence of racist black people. Anyway, if you enjoyed that segment, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, ring the bell icon, following my social media, and liking the stream, and perhaps even going down in the description down there, join my fan Discord, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter, all that good shit. And of course, finally, your boy Zan, as always, is in fact living in the hood. I'm so deep in the hood that I don't think there's any way to get out of the hood. So if you want to donate and help Zan escape the hood, then you can do so. It'd be appreciated. You guys ever watch Wes, by the way? WESBTW. He's a Twitch streamer that, well, was a Twitch streamer who's since been banned. But I met him during my first ever Twitch debate panel back in 2019. And it was just me, Destiny, him, and like 4 other people. And we were just like, the dude was really fun. I just remember thinking the dude was really funny. So I ended up following him on Twitch, and he ended up getting into gambling streams. He ended up getting into gambling streams. He started streaming gambling, and he moved to Canada to do it. And his catchphrase, whenever he wins, if he hits a big jackpot while gambling on stream, he gets up and he starts screaming, "We out the hood." "We out the hood! We out the hood!" is what he screams over and over again if he gets a big win, like a big jackpot win while gambling, and I just love it. And yes, he is white. He is very much white, and probably Canadian, frankly. All right. Thank you.